Here's a little trivia question. You can say you heard it here on the Haberman and Middlekoff YouTube channel, or maybe the podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, help the channel grow. We appreciate that. We've been doing little casual mornings and I've been enjoying it. So I've been keeping them going. Word on the street is Ham might have a interview scheduled for later today, but that'll be content for another day. So here's the trivia question. You heard it here first. Which offensive play callers have the most consecutive seasons calling plays in the NFL right now? Number one, Andy Reid, entering his 25th consecutive season calling plays. Number two, Josh McDaniels. It's crazy to think about it, but it's true. 18, coming into 18. And number three, Kyle Shanahan, who's about to enter his 16th season calling NFL plays. Sean Payton also going to be at his 16th season as a play caller. It's early, I can't talk. But as we know, those were not consecutive. And little asterisk on the side, not as a play caller primarily, but Pete Carmichael, the Saints OC, is about to enter his 15th season as the quote-unquote offensive coordinator. But, of course, Sean Payton called the plays almost exclusively when they were together. Carmichael got the 1 year when Payton was off being Doug Heffernan. And then there was an early stretch 1 year where Carmichael called some plays, and then Sean Payton took it back because he wanted to call plays against Greg Williams and never gave it back. So there we go. That factors into this question that is worthy of its own little video. Question asked in the comments the other day, and let's make it bigger. Who has the most catches this season between the big four? Christian McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk. Ayuk might be the dark horse. Is Ayuk the dark horse? First of all, in any competition between those four, even though he's about to get paid, he probably is the dark horse because Kittle's an all-pro. Debo was carried a team to the postseason, and McCaffrey's one of the best players in the league. So that puts Ayuk just naturally kind of fourth on that list. By the way, in doing some prep to answer this question, a couple little notes. Debo Samuel, per PFF, led the NFL last year, despite missing 4 games. Led the NFL, just raw numbers, led the NFL in missed tackles forced after a reception, 36. George Kittle led the league in his quarterback's rating when they targeted Kittle, 140. Whatever you make a quarterback rating, but there you go. So will it be Kittle? I don't think it will be Kittle. I don't think Kittle's going to lead the team in catches this year. I think his skills as a blocker will be required, as they always are. But even though any good tight end is a great safety valve for a quarterback, on this team, the quarterback has other safety valves. Will it be Debo? Well, I think it'll be tough for Debo. Debo has led these Niners in catches. He did that back in 2021. But, he misses games. He missed 4 games last year. But I think he's got a shot at it. Debo would have a shot at it this year. He's in good shape. He said the whole thing about, I got to be in better shape, right? I wasn't. I've had years where I wasn't doing everything I should have been doing. So I think Debo's got some incentive. How about Ayuk? Could be Ayuk. I mean, Ayuk technically did it last year. But when you consider how many catches he had as a Niner, when you consider what that rate would put McCaffrey at if he had all those number of catches as a Niner, or when you just take the numbers of catches he had as a Niner and the number of catches he had as a Panther, those are fantastic numbers. And last year he would have edged out Brandon Ayuk if he had spent his whole season as a Niner and continued to catch passes at that rate. One thing to remember, he had 52 catches last year in 11 games for the Niners. So I'm going with McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey leads the team in catches this year, but not by a wide margin. He had 52 catches last year in 11 games. That's 4.7 per game times 17. That's 80, about right, 80 catches. He had 85 last year. I think one thing to remember, I don't think we should expect his productivity to go up too much beyond that, because the Panthers really highlighted it. If you remember, I remember watching Christian last year on the Panthers, especially if you go back and watch the game he played against the Rams. They really tried to highlight him last year. So, they were maxing him out. They were trying to trade him, and they were trying to sort of put him on display. McCaffrey led Carolina in catches in his first 3 seasons. When he's had a full season, he's caught more balls than anybody else on his team. So he did that every year in Carolina. In year 2, he caught 52 more balls than number 2 on his team. In year 3, he caught 29 more balls. Last year, he did catch the most balls of any player that finished the season on the 49ers, right? Now, Kyle Shanahan has had a running back lead his team in catches. This is another good trivia question. It happened one time. Do you know who it was? This is a good trivia question. Kyle Shanahan has had one in 15 years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. He's had one player lead his team from the running back position with catches, and that player was Carlos Hyde, his first year as the Niners head coach. That team was Hyde, Goodwin, Kittle, and Trent Taylor tied for third in catches on that team. Kittle. Here are the players who have led a Kyle Shanahan team in receptions. Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, Ayuk, Julio Jones, Andrew Hawkins, Pierre Garçon, Josh Morgan in 2012, 48 balls, led the football team. Jabbar Gaffney, Santana Moss with Donovan McNabb and Rex Grossman. Andre Johnson. They had some great years with Matt Schaub. So it's not in Kyle's history, but one thing Kyle does, and I've been listening to the Playmakers podcast that The Athletic put together with interviews from Kyle Shanahan, a bunch of people, but it's about Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, Sean McVay, and Matt LaFleur. And RG3 actually is on it, and Kyle's on it, and they talk at length about how they put the pistol formation in for Robert Griffin III's very successful rookie season. And what it was Kyle doing something, adapting something, right, that he was very comfortable with already into something that his quarterback would be very comfortable with. Hold on, just adjusting something here. And I think the same thing applies here. His best option for Brock's, we saw how comfortable Brock was with Christian. The guy that can do the most for him, because he's going to line up in the backfield almost always. Debo can do a ton, but Debo doesn't line up in the backfield as much and does not carry the ball as much, which is fine. But the guy that can do the most different stuff in regards to the pass reception game is Christian, right? Or at least like the offensive creation game. I mean, Kittle can do a ton. They can all do a lot. But I think McCaffrey is just going to see the most. McCaffrey is kind of a walking pistol formation. You never know exactly which direction it's going to go with him. You never know, is it a run or a pass with him, no matter where he's lined up. And so because of that, he gives you the most options to kind of keep people off balance. So I'm going McCaffrey for those reasons, even though it's not exactly in Kyle's history to have a running back lead the team. It is in McCaffrey's history, and Kyle has not had a running back before. Now, I mean, all these guys, like, I think Ayuk's going to be right there. And Debo should be right there. I mean, it'll be interesting if if you have a full 17 games of Debo and McCaffrey, even say like 16, what does that look like from a productivity standpoint for the two of them? What do their per game carries look like? Christian should be higher, much higher. And what do their per game receptions look like? I mean, part of this was Debo missed 4 games last year. In those games, McCaffrey's production from a pass catching standpoint didn't exactly skyrocket. I mean, it'd be three games Debo missed when McCaffrey was on the team: the Rams game, the Seahawks game, and the Washington game. Sorry, he missed the Rams game per McCaffrey. He missed the Seahawks game, the Washington game, and the Vegas Raiders game. In those games, McCaffrey had a combined 14 catches, 6 against Seattle, 2 against Washington, 6 against the Raiders. So it's, you know, if you were going to argue that McCaffrey's going to take some of Debo's catches, which naturally one more skill guy is going to take some of it, but Kyle would be throwing to the running back to some degree anyway. So, you know, I expected when I looked at those games that maybe McCaffrey's catches would have gone up more significantly, although 6 is a lot of catches. And, you know, every game is going to be a little bit different. Dude, I've got a little problem here. The comments are not loading here. So let me go over here. Debo's a walking. I can't add that here, but Jose says Trey Lance and BA 1K all day. You know, interesting with the Falcons logo there, because some have suggested that's the best destination for him. Kurt says someone leading in yards but not catches is probably unfathomable in this Yak offense. Someone leading in yards but not. Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, except we'd have to look at some of the depth of targets here, but you know, Ayuk in theory is catching the ball further down the field. And so then in theory, maybe those plays go for a little bit more. But you're right. These guys are yak monsters. Oh, good question, Trock. What are your thoughts on Danny Gray this season? And for whatever reason, I'm not able to. Let me do one quick thing here and see if this fixes. Hold on. All right, that worked. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so now I can throw your questions up here. What are your thoughts on Danny Gray? Let me just make one other adjustment here. Usually this is where I just let Middlekoff talk and I adjust something, but as he told me this morning, I'm not a morning guy. We will, I'm not going to mention it now, but maybe tomorrow we'll mention we have a upcoming interview that I think you guys are like. We're going to record that today. We might even, before I answer this question, we might even, we'll see, hit the hit the interviewee with this. Check this out. And then I'll get back to that question.
Middlekauff! Hey! Promo code ham.
So cheesy. The fire, so much fire. All right, what do you think of Danny Gray this year? I mean, I'm very intrigued with Danny. One thing I think has been very impressive, and John and I have talked about this a lot, is his presence on special teams. You know, he'll be on the team. I don't know after him, you know, and Ray so far has been better, right? You know, he's earned it. He's made plays. But, you know, they need more. The problem is, how do you work him in with these guys, this group of guys you got? He's kind of in the same boat as Trey Lance, which in theory you want to play to develop a little bit. But look at this group of players that are making it really hard. Now, this is going to be a big developmental year. You figure Juwan Jennings probably is nearing the end of his time on the 49ers. He might be too good and become too expensive to keep in the same way Kendrick Bourne was. So they're going to need another receiver soon. Obviously, those two guys are different types of receivers. But you know, at OTAs, there hasn't been a lot. Now he's clearly fast. Remember, he caught that touchdown from Trey Lance in the preseason last year. Every time they worked him into a game last year, it was very limited, and it felt like everybody knew exactly what was coming. So, you know, he's got to find a way to take advantage of limited reps, which in theory, with his skill set, he should be able to. You know, like a pinch hitter who hits 6 home runs in a season or something like that. Like, you just gotta, that's what it's going to take. The good news for him is he's been willing to play special teams, and they like him. I think they've liked him. So, you know, and play special teams not as a returner. That's important. That's critical. It says a lot about a guy. Anyway, third string all pro says Ayuk leads catches, Debo leads yards, Kittle leads TDs, CMC leads yak. Ayuk leads catches, Debo leads yards, Kittle leads TD. That's about as well balanced. It seems overly well balanced, impossibly well balanced. Bennett asks a good question. Is it hurting Debo's value if he's not the leader on the team? In terms of receptions leader, I think you mean, right? Not like emotional leader. Well, no, he's been paid. So his value is a lot of things. As long as he's healthy and in shape, then I think his value is pretty consistent. Now, it might be that he catches the football. It might be that you hand it to him and he runs with it. It might be that the defense has to just pay attention to him and that leads to opportunities for other people. But you've paid him. And as long as he's healthy and in shape, he serves a very valuable purpose. We know that if Debo is on the field, he's a threat. And that in and of itself is a value. I'm not saying you're paying for a decoy. We know Debo can carry your team if you need it. We also know that Debo's been hurt before. We know McCaffrey's been hurt before. We know Kittle's been hurt before. And so the odds that at some point over the course of the season, one of those three guys might be the only guy available for a game among that group, that's a real possibility. And the Niners have needed those guys in years past, so they'll need them again. So I don't think if Debo's not your leading receiver, Debo is different than most receivers. Definitely different than most of the best receivers. He's just different than most NFL players. So I think his value stays pretty consistent as long as he's healthy and available. Simply having him on the field, knowing that you have a guy who, in a big game you can rely on, and that's what we know about him, then I think he's worth what you're paying him. If he's healthy and on the field, if he's healthy and in shape, then he's worth what you're paying him. By the way, check out harrys.com. I got to re-add this. Check out harrys.com/ham. This was the question there. harrys.com/ham. $3 trial set makes it easy to get a great shave. Great quality shaving materials. Just $3. $3. harrys.com/ham. I wanted to share a couple other. God, these comments are not loading over here, but you guys I got to watch this other page. Danny Gray should have a breakout year. How? What does breakout mean? Would be the question. How many catches did Danny Gray have last year? I'm going to guess. I haven't looked yet. I'm going to guess none. One catch. So what does breakout year mean for Danny Gray? I think a good year for Danny Gray on this team, provided everybody. Now, if people get hurt, then Danny Gray has to step up. But my guess would be, we did this study a while back. I could pull it back of like where guys usually settle from a catch standpoint. I would say a good year for Danny Gray is, you know how many catches Ray McLeod had last year? 14. 17 yards per catch. He was an impactful receiver with 14 catches because of how deep this team is. So if you told me that Danny Gray's got 14 catches this year, 15 catches, I know it doesn't sound like much, but I know where the slants are going. They're not going to him. So they're going to be, in theory, big plays, right? Ray 17 yards a catch, most on the team, not counting Ross Dwelly, who had 3 catches. Juice is going to be historically around 20 to 30 catches, 33, somewhere in that range. Juwan Jennings, 35. Juwan Jennings got to be thinking, I can go to another team and get 60 balls, right? 55 balls. On this team, it's 35. So, what's a good year to me, if you tell me he keeps playing special teams coverage, he catches 15 balls, gets a touchdown, catches a couple big first downs, defense has to respect when he's on the field, can then play, because of that production, a little bit of a decoy role. I actually think that'd be a solid year. It sounds crazy, but given the circumstances, I think that'd be a solid year. David asks, again, having trouble putting these questions up for some reason, but David asks, 3rd and 6, who are you going to? Debo and McCaffrey? Both? That's the beauty. Choose. They're both available. Pick one. John V says breakout means don't be Goodwin. Yeah. Khalil asked, you like Ronnie Bell or Tay Martin for the last wide receiver spot? I mean, historically, I've seen more of Tay Martin than Ronnie Bell. I like him. Ronnie Bell, obviously, they drafted. And I didn't think he had the OTA days I was there. I didn't think he had a great camp. 7th rounder out of Michigan. Maybe he's, he can, in theory, also be a returner, which you may need that role soon. But I didn't think he had, again, limited sample size, but I didn't think he had great days. The days that I was there, drops. So, he's got to be better than what I saw on those specific days. But those are just little slices in time. Those are OTAs for a rookie. Maybe he'll be better here as the season gets closer. Breakout means he can play a significant role for the Niners' success. Well, Ray played, right? We would agree Ray played a significant role. Obviously, part of that was on returns. So, yeah, I think 15 catches on a good team that's stacked with a touchdown you're playing a role in their success. So that's where I would put it. Even though that doesn't feel very high. Yeah. By the way, as we can keep throwing your comments and I'll keep looking at them. I did want to throw up a couple comments from yesterday's video that we did about Debo. We talked about Debo's interview. Some people thought Debo was in the wrong. Some people thought the interviewer was in the wrong. I thought neither was particularly impressive. Although, as I said, I thought Debo's answers on paper. Some people thought the topic was dumb, which that's always going to happen. But I got a couple comments here from people that I thought were good. This one from T.O. Doubles Dizzle 24. Football is played on the field, not on the phone. That is an incredible tagline. Football is played on the field, not the phone. That's great. Also, Mike, Kenny, long one here, but I'm going to get to the bottom because I mentioned a story about Ditka once reacting to a question I asked, like I was a dipshit, and I probably was. By the way, I once rode the plane with Ditka. He's the one that wanted to talk football. When I told him I thought Bill Walsh was a genius, he shut down completely. That's a pretty cool interaction. When you say sat by somebody on a plane and the answer to who is Mike Ditka, that's pretty good. Comment, Ray wasn't stretching the field or catching bombs for TDs. Ray was valuable, right? Ray had a couple of big plays, plus he was their returner. I think we went back, we'd find some pretty significant catches among those 14 catches for Ray. So on this team with these guys, it's not about volume. It's about in a moment, Shanahan is going to scheme open somebody who they're not looking for. Does the quarterback hit him and does he catch it? That's going to happen. That's why Danny Gray is there. I thought, one of the interesting things listening to, I recommended the Playmakers. I think it's called Playmakers. It's a little, maybe it's like 4-part series, just to hear kind of how Kyle thinks and some of the things he does. But when you've coordinated offense for 15 straight years in the league, through an evolution of the league and some evolutions that he's had, he's been on the front line of some of the evolutions, the pistol coming in, obviously the 49ers and Kaepernick were a big part of it. And then RG3 in Washington, a big part of it. And then the way his coordinators have spread throughout the league, you're going to have a pretty good handle on things. And he does. There's not much debate about him as a play designer and a play caller. So that's what Danny Gray is there for. Thomas says Ray saved Brock Purdy against the Raiders with a 42-yard catch he caught behind the line of scrimmage. I thought his impact was more than 14 catches, right? Even though sometimes I'd watch him return a ball and hold my breath. But by the way, have you guys seen the Bucks? The Bucks brought back the creamsicles, which is just screams, we are here for the number 1 pick. Here's a comment about Ray McLeod. He isn't big enough to contest 50-50 balls. Not his job. Now, the Niners don't really have, DK Metcalf, who catches 50-50, who catches, him and like A.J. Brown. Those are 50-50 ball catchers. The Niners are more about, let me get you wide ass open. Or in the case of Debo or McCaffrey, sometimes Ayuk, definitely Kittle. Let me just get you the ball. and then you figure it out from there. But they do have contested catch. I mean, like Debo makes contested catches. They're just not downfield over the top 50-50 catches, right? That's not where their Niners kind of contested catches come. The Niners contested catches come in traffic. Like Debo makes a lot of plays in traffic, receptions in traffic. McCaffrey's going to have to do that. Kittle does that, right? Juwan Jennings definitely does that. So they're traffic catches, but they're not what you think when you say 50-50 ball. I think everybody thinks of 50-50 ball feels like it means, one-on-one with the DB down the sideline. And that's just the Niners do not make that play. They don't have that. If you're open down the sideline, you're probably wide ass open. WAO, wide ass open. It'll be either CMC. Yeah, Jennings is good, man. You're going to miss Jennings. Charlie says, I think Ronnie Bell will be a solid addition, especially since Ray and Jennings will likely be gone. Interested to hear about why. Wasn't an immediate impact in camp, but that's okay. You don't have to be on this team. Unlike quarterback, you don't have to be ready immediately at wide receiver to be able to get the time to develop. You can still get some snaps. Not like, unfortunately, if you're Trey Lance, right, you don't get to be the number 3 guy and ease your way in. That's just not how it works. All right, so I'm going McCaffrey. But I don't think it's going to be by much. I do think Ayuk could be 2. Debo could be 2. I don't think Kittle will be 2 because I'm still a little bit concerned about the right side of the offensive line. So George's protection skills will be essential. Oh, Charlie said, I heard Bell has good route running and awesome hands, according to Larry Krueger. Okay. I'm not out. I'm not in. I'm the 7th round receiver. So, I'll wait till it flashes. I just know the days I was there, but long way to go. All right. On that note, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that. Get this thing to pop up. There we go. Yeah. Send it to somebody you love. Send it to somebody you hate. And check out harrys.com/am for a $3 shave set. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Be back soon. Have a great day. Have a great week. Adios. Pelota.